everybody, and welcome to this special episode of WOSFL Weekly, which I think we're calling WOSFL Midweekly, episode 1.5 of season 2 of the show. So there's obviously almost a full card over Tuesday and Wednesday night this week, and speaking to Paul, I thought we'd put something together, just a quick recap of the kind of talking points out of the midweek games. Again, I wasn't tuned into everything that was going on across every division, so it'll just be a kind of shorter wee catch up episode. But let us know if you like it. If you do, and you're watching on YouTube, then please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button to the channel. It really means a lot to us in terms of the algorithm and things like that with YouTube. So please comment, like, subscribe to the channel. You've got all the videos from the Pyramid Promotions channel that we're doing now that we're really ramping up into season 25-26. A really enjoyable first season, and we're looking to build on that going into this season. So if you can support us, that's really much appreciated. You can also support us by becoming a member of the channel, which doesn't cost a lot of money, but again goes a long way to helping PG with his costs that it costs to run the channel and make sure that we're putting out some really good content for you guys and doing things like this off the cuff that we think you guys will be interested in. If you're listening on audio form, please rate and review on your podcast network. Again, makes a big difference to us. And finally, just a wee note for our sponsors, Roxburgh Insurance Brokers. Thanks to Roxburgh as ever for sponsoring us. And if you're looking for any insurance needs, get in touch with the guys up at Roxburgh. And of course, VSN Sport. If you're involved in a club and you want some bespoke teamwear for your club, then please get in touch with Gary at VSN, and the guys will sort you out with some top quality stuff. Okay, so we'll get stuck into the first division, the Premier Division. As you can see, I'm just on my own, so it'll be just a shorter show, like I said, just a quick recap of the midweek talking points, focusing mainly on the Premier Division, and then we'll kind of work our way down through the divisions as we go. I would say the first port of call, if you like, is Auchinleck beating Pollock 4-0. Really strong start to the season for Auchinleck. We know that one of the issues that I think they felt they had last year, and I think they did have, was a slow start to the season, where they were kind of chasing their tail towards the end of the season, and they finished like a train and they won a cup, so everything was okay. But I'm sure Thomas Sloan would have been wanting to make sure that they started this season properly if they're wanting to compete for that league title, which I'm sure they are, and they always are, and I'm sure that's the minimum expectation at a club like Auchinleck. Then it's really important you start the season well, and you can't really ask for much more than starting the season with 2 4-0 victories, one away from home against a good Hurlford side, and then one at home against a newly formed, if you like, Pollock side. But you've still got to do the business, and you've still got to win the game. And by all accounts, it was a really good performance from them. I listened to Alan McClucky's interview after the game, and I noted that he said they made 6 changes to the starting lineup. So that's really impressive as well. I think for a club like Auchinleck, with the amount of games that they play, so all the top teams in the Premier League, they're going to play a lot of games, a lot of cup games, etc. So having a real strong squad is going to be really important for them, and especially when you start picking up injuries and suspensions and things like that. They've obviously brought Luke Main in from East Kilbride, who I'm sure that the way everybody's talking, they're hoping that he's going to be a really top signing for them. But having that squad depth is going to make a big difference to them. And like I said, starting the season with 2 4-0 victories, you can't really ask for much more in terms of where you want them to go. They go to Arthurlie on Saturday, which will be a tough game. Willie Dyer of Arthurlie ready to go. They didn't have a game midweek, so they've had a full week on the training ground, whereas Auchinleck have had to prepare for a game, maybe not get the opportunity to train. But I'm sure they'll be looking to continue this 100% start, and they'll know. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure everybody at Auchinleck will know that people will be putting Johnston Borough up there. Johnston Borough will be the kind of talking team, if you like. And I'm sure Auchinleck will be doing their best to keep pace with them. And by the looks of things, they're putting the marker down just now with those victories. In terms of Pollock, we all know that the trials and tribulations that Stuart Maxwell's had at Pollock, and building this new squad and bringing in a load of new players and players that may be untested at this level. And going to Auchinleck in a midweek, as I said on Sunday, if you were watching the show with Dean Keenan, the Govan manager, on Sunday, it can be a bit of a lion's den to go to. But by all accounts, they acquitted themselves well, and Auchinleck just maybe proved a bit too strong for them in the end. But they'll be looking to pick up that first victory. They play Glenafton at home on Saturday, and I'm sure they'll be looking at that as a game that they could possibly pick up something from. I'm sure that Stuart will go into every game expecting to get something from, but you'll be looking at that to kind of get something from. But it'll be interesting. Again, like I said, these midweek games are great to get games going and get things underway, but you do miss that time on the training field, especially when things haven't gone your way and you want to watch it, analyse it, get the boys on the training ground to kind of work on things. And they maybe won't have that chance before they welcome Glenafton on Saturday. But Glenafton's in the same boat, having played Tuesday, although that maybe would then allow them to train on Thursday. So it'll be interesting to see how that game pans out on Saturday. But I'm sure Stuart Maxwell and the boys will be looking to pick up some points from them. Speaking of Glenafton, they lost on Tuesday 2-1 to Hurlford. I thought that was a really strong result for Hurlford. Glenafton, for me, they're one of those teams where, in my opinion, I can't quite get a handle on where I think they're going to be this season. I think we need to see 5 or 6 games to see where they settle in, but I'm not sure. I think they'll win games, but I think they'll lose games as well. They're just one of those teams that, I'm not entirely sure of. But for Hurlford, for Darren Henderson and the guys at Hurlford, losing 4-0 at home in your season opener would have been a sore one for the guys there, for the players and the coaching staff especially. So they would have been looking for a reaction and looking to bounce back. And as I said earlier, they probably haven't had the chance to get on the training ground in between Saturday and Tuesday. I'm pretty sure I definitely know they wouldn't have. So then it's a case of, what do you do? Do you change shape? Do you change personnel? Do you trust the boys that played on Saturday to kind of get themselves out of it and get that out of their system and perform against Glenafton? And I think they made a couple of changes to the squad, or to the team, sorry. And it's obviously paid dividends with a really solid 2-1 victory, going away to Glenafton. Going away anywhere midweek, as we all know, is not easy. We're going up to Newcomnock, especially. It's some journey on a Tuesday night, so they would have been delighted to just come away with that 2-1 victory and get back down the road. And then they go into Saturday where they host Rutherglen, one of the newly promoted sides, and they'll be looking to pick up another 3 points there. League toppers, if you like, one of the teams that everybody thinks going to be up there, obviously Johnston Borough, come away with a 1-0 win to Cumnock. I've said all summer really that I think Cumnock will be at the top end of the table, challenging up there this season. So I was really intrigued to see how that game panned out. I thought it would have been, I would have liked that game to be later on in the season, if I'm being honest, just because it feels like almost too big a game for this early in the season, because I think as we get into kind of Christmas time and the turn of the year, I think that would have been a real standout tie, because I think both those teams are going to be at the top end of the table. But anyway, Johnston Borough getting the job done. 1-0 victory. Blair Rossiter scoring again after scoring on Saturday. Another great strike, great technique. His goal on Saturday, if you've not had the chance to check out his goal on Saturday, try and seek it out. It's just a real good piece of technique. But even last night, his finish is really good. It's really a really difficult finish. It looks easy, but it's a difficult finish. It's really easy to sky that one over the bar or shank it off your pinky toe for a shy. So a really, really good finish, and a clean sheet as well, which I'm sure Murday will be really pleased with. Because if you're in a team like Johnston Borough, if you know you're going to keep clean sheets and you're going to be strong defensively, when you've got players like Blair Rossiter and Aaron Mason and Kieran Diver and boys like that Ian McShane, quality at the top end of the park, that you know are going to create chances and probably going to take them. So if you can trust your defence to keep you in the game. Maybe if things aren't going your way, you know you're going to get a chance and you know you're going to get the opportunity to score. And that's what they've done on Saturday. And they go to Drumchapel on Saturday, which I think will be another test, another real test, because I think as well, looking at Johnstone Borough, I would suggest that a lot of teams will raise their game when Johnstone Borough come to town because they've got that reputation, rightly or wrongly, the big spenders, etc., etc. So teams will raise their game when they play against Johnstone Borough, and every game is going to be really tough for them, but they've started the season really well, and the 3 or 4 teams at the top end of the table just now are pretty much who we thought would be at the top end of the table in terms of Johnstone Borough, Auchinleck, Drumchapel and Troon, Cumnock as well. So it's almost, I know it's only 2 games in, but it is almost becoming a familiar look to what we were maybe expecting. Drumchapel had a really good 1-0 victory away to Largs. We know Largs are strong at home. I think that was the first game with the floodlights on at Largs as well, so congratulations to them getting the floodlights up and working. But Drumchapel run away with it, they get the last laugh and get away with a 1-0 victory, which I'm sure Adam Hopes is absolutely delighted with. Again, 4 points from the first 2 games. Be pleased with that. I would suggest that maybe people looking at their first game at home to Rutherglen would maybe have fancied them to win, and then maybe the game last night would have been a bit more difficult. So I think if you'd said that Drumchapel would pick up 4 points from the first 2 games, most people would probably agree with you, but they might have had it in a different order. But I'm sure Adam Hopes doesn't care how the points come about as long as he gets them. But going to Largs, always difficult. So to get away with a 1-0 victory is really positive, and it leaves Largs still looking for that first victory of the season. And they go to Hannah Park to play Shotts on Saturday, who also had a free week. So they had that full week of training, and Largs will go there on Saturday hoping to get their season up and running on that massive park up at Shotts. Coinning, great result for them, beating Renfrew 2-1. To battle of newly promoted sides, so I was really interested to see how that would go. Teams that know each other well, having played each other last season. Dean on the show on Sunday was mentioning how he felt that Coinning would do well, and if you were watching, you'll know that we spoke about Ryan Wilson making the step up from Ardrossan to play with Coinning. I think he scored last night, so maybe we do know what we're talking about sometimes on the show. But a really good result for them. Really pleased for Kevin Kelly and the guys up at Coinning getting that victory last night. And again, Renfrew in a similar position to Largs, where just still looking for that first win of the season. We're only 2 games in, but the longer it goes, the more kind of antsy sometimes you can get. And Renfrew have got a tough task on Saturday. They go to Cumnock and Coinning go to Troon, I think. So 2 tough ties for the newly promoted sides. Speaking of Troon, really solid 3-0 win at home to St Cadoc's, just getting the job done. They did a really good victory. They go away to Renfrew on Saturday and not grind out a 2-1 victory, but go and get the job done, beating Renfrew 2-1 away from home. When you go away from home, it doesn't matter how you get the points, as long as you get the points. And it's the old phrase everybody uses in football: get 3 points, get down the road. And I'm sure they would have felt the same after Saturday. But coming back to Portland Park, I'm sure Jimmy Cutt was absolutely delighted with a 3-0 victory against St Cadoc's. Looking at St Cadoc's side, I think a lot of people had maybe thought, because of the way things went last season, that they wouldn't be as strong this year. But looking at the lineup, I've got more than enough in that squad to compete in the Premier League. And I'm sure that they will. But Troon, again, a really strong start. 2 wins from 2. They host Coinning on Saturday. They'll be looking at home games. All the teams will be looking at home, particularly the teams at the top, will be looking at home games against newly promoted sides as opportunities to pick up points. And these newly promoted sides will be going into them looking to cause upsets here, there and everywhere. I'm sure there will be a few upsets over the course of the season. But a really good victory for Troon. Dario Viviani scoring again after scoring on Saturday. And good to see Kyle Gilroy getting in amongst the goals with a couple of goals as well. So it's good to see him back to form. Jumping into the first division, I suppose we'll start with Thornleywood beating Neilston 3-1. Another really strong result for Thornleywood. I think they obviously went to Darvel and won really well on Saturday, and then they host Neilston, who were promoted last year. It's always a tricky time. Maybe a team you don't know too much about, coming to your home ground, first home game of the season during the week, etc., etc. But a really strong result for them, and it just, I don't know, I just like what Thornleywood are doing. I like what they're all about just now this season. They go to Rob Roy on Saturday. I think that'll be key to see. Again, Rob Roy didn't have a game during the week. So they've had a full week's training. Thornleywood have had to play Neilston, which is a really tough game. So it'll be interesting to see if that affects the teams. It'll be interesting to watch on Sunday. I hope you can join us for the recap on Sunday. But is this going to make a difference, these teams that have a week off rather than playing midweek games? Are they going to be stronger going into Saturday because they have that rest, they have that time on the training ground? Or are Thornleywood just going to keep motoring away at the top of the league and see how they go? Another team that people have spoken about, contenders for the title, St Rochs. Great result for St Rochs, going to Benburb and winning 3-0. Benburb two defeats on the bounce. Coming down from the Premier League, I'm sure they would have been wanting to start the season well, bounce back really quickly. They'll be disappointed to get beat 3-0 at home. Now, we know St Rochs are a good side, so I'm not saying that as if, I can't believe we get beat off St Rochs, but you play at home, you've came down from the Premier League, I'm sure the guys would have been expecting a bit more from them. But in terms of how St Rochs are looking, that's another great result. They play Petershill on Saturday at home, but a really good start to the season for the boys in the Candy. Irvine Meadow, really tough game, going to Fullerton Park to play Vela Clyde. Everybody knows how difficult a place it is to go to play at Vela Clyde. John Hughes has built a really strong squad there, and going there, and as I said before, going away from home, get the job done, get back down the road. Ayrshire team going all the way up to the east end of Glasgow. I know there might be boys in that Meadow team from Glasgow, so it's maybe not as big a travel, but it's no an easy place to get to, especially if you're working all day and you're finishing work and you're travelling through there. So all these midweek games, you just want to go and see what you can get out of them. If you can get a victory out of them, then happy days. Sometimes you have to just take your medicine and take a point and get back down the road. But Jamie will be absolutely delighted with that. We're going up there and winning 2-1, because I'm sure when the fixtures come out, I'm sure he wouldn't have been relishing a midweek away tie to Vela Clyde. That's somewhere you want to go on a Saturday where you can get there in plenty of time and you can organise your travel and all that kind of thing. So he'll be absolutely delighted with a 2-1 victory. And then we've got a couple of big scores. Whitlets are continuing to provide value for money in the west of Scotland, which is great. 3-3 draw with Kilbirnie. I think they were 2-0 up. I might be wrong there, but I think they were 2-0 up. So Graham Neal will be disappointed in the boys not being able to see that game out. But then I suppose they were on a similar end of it the weekend when they were 4-1 down to Gartcairn and showed great character to come back and draw 4 each. But 7 goals in 2 games. They've conceded. They've also scored 7 goals in 2 games as well. So, as I said, with Johnston Borough keeping that defensive unit and keeping them strong at the back, I think I've absolutely no doubt that Graham Neal will be working hard to iron out the defensive frailties that they seem to be showing just now, because at the top end of the park there doesn't seem to be any bother. And just a wee congratulations to Jordan Boyd, who scored his 100th goal for the club. It's a massive achievement, so congratulations to him. But they'll be looking to bounce back at home tie in Muirkirk on Saturday, so they'll be looking to bounce back and get the first 3 points on the board, because they probably feel like they've earned it in terms of what they're doing, but they just need to tighten up a wee bit at the back and rely on the boys at the top end to continue doing what they're doing. And as for Kilbirnie, they'll probably feel home tie, you score 3 goals at home, you probably should be winning games of football, to be honest. If someone said to you, right, you're going to score 3 goals every home game, you'll win a lot more than you lose, or you should anyway. So Colin Spence will be disappointed for them to not win the game having scored 3 goals. But then again, on the flip side, Graham Neal will feel exactly the same, the Whitlets manager. So we'll just move on. Kilbirnie have got a really tough tie away to Cumbernauld on Saturday. And as I said earlier, Whitlets host Muirkirk, so that'll be an interesting one as well. Just touching on Lanark against Darvel, 3-3. Darvel were 3-0 up as far as I'm aware, and then had a bit of a capitulation towards the end of the game and ended up drawing 3-3. I saw Michael Oliver's interview after the game. He looked absolutely shell-shocked, to be honest, and he looked really gutted. I really felt for him actually watching him. Sometimes I think it's great that managers do this thing and clubs are doing more and more on social media. I think it's brilliant. It's brilliant for us because it allows us access and we can see things and we can talk about things in more detail rather than just using our guesswork and making things up. But it's I felt for him having to stand up and do that because I've been in that situation where you're cruising, you think things are going well, there's no danger, and then all of a sudden there's a capitulation and you find yourself walking away with a point when they should have walked away with all 3. And again, it comes back to what I was saying earlier about the games in midweek, because they've got a massive game on Saturday where they host Cartercairn, and I don't imagine Michael will get the chance to look at, to work with his team on what they need to improve to try and fix the issues that they suffered on Saturday and on Wednesday night. I think I saw in his interview he was talking about his centre backs, the gaps between them were too big. And again, this is something that you want to look at the video, get the boys in, show them exactly what they need to do, show them where they need to be, etc. Then you go to the training ground and you work on it there, so they've got it in their heads and they can take it into the game on Saturday. So you're almost hoping that the same issues don't come up because you don't get that chance because it's a midweek game. But them's the breaks, I suppose, and they'll be looking to bounce back with a really tough game against Cartercairn, who have had that full week to prepare, having not had the midweek game. And then the final game in the first division was Muirkirk drawing 2 each way Ardrossan. Not too much to say about that one. I would suppose it's first point in the board for Muirkirk, which is great. First point in the board for Ardrossan, which is great. It's just a draw, really, isn't it? It's just one of those ones. And again, Ardrossan play Vale of Clyde on Saturday, and as I said earlier, Muirkirk go to Whitlets. So 2 interesting ties there, and we'll see how that goes. And in the second division, 2 promoted teams, Greenock and Thorn, met up at Ravenscraig, and Thorn ran out 3-1 winners. A really impressive result for Thorn. I think that people were probably a bit surprised with them not getting a victory on Saturday, but they're still undefeated. They've walked away with a victory there away to Greenock, which is a difficult place to go. Greenock will, without doubt, in my opinion, be up the top end of the table competing with the other clubs up there. So again, it's a tough place to go on a Wednesday night all the way up to Greenock. But Thorn went up there and got the job done. And then interestingly, they host Kilsyth Rangers, who also had a really strong result last night, being fourth. Again, fourth are a bit like Whitlets, a bit like Cali Locos, where they provide value for money, which is much appreciated. 4-3. Kilsyth Rangers getting the job done. So a really good result for Kilsyth. 1 win, 1 defeat in the first couple of games. Fourth, still looking for the first points of the season. But they played Larkhall on Saturday, who lost 2-1 to Cambuslang. Cambuslang, great start to the season for Cambuslang. 2 wins out of 2. A really strong result for them away to Larkhall. Larkhall's not an easy place to go. And they play Bonneton on Saturday, which will be a really good game. Looking at the league table, Bonneton are 2 from 2 and Cambuslang are 2 from 2 as well. So that's got the makings of a cracker on Saturday up at Somerville Park. That'll be really interesting because Bonneton did a really good 4-0 victory against Maybole. I don't want to talk about it too much, other than just to say congratulations to Bonnet and their quality in the final third. For me, was the difference in the game. They got opportunities, they created opportunities, and they took them. So congratulations to Bonnet. It's a really strong start. And again, us at Maybole, we're down there still looking for our first points along with 4 other sides. Maybole play Blantyre on Saturday, and as I said, Bonnet, and I've got that cracker at Cambuslang. So if you're in and around the Cambuslang area, get yourself up there and go and watch a game of football, because that'll be a good one. Sorry, jump back. I missed one. I missed Ashfield and Bells Hill. 2 teams I know very little about, but Bells Hill got a good 3-2 victory against Ashfield. Interestingly, Bells Hill 2 from 2, which is really good. But 8 goals scored, 5 conceded, so living on the edge. But great result for them. We know Ashfield have had their troubles to seek in the summer and last season, etc. So it's probably a bit of a rebuild for them, but great result for Bells Hill all the same. Okay, jumping into the 3rd division. Knightswood, probably the standout result, beating Ardeer 5-1. Really, really great result for Knightswood. I didn't see that coming. I mean, it was one of those games where it probably could have went either way on paper, but I didn't expect such a comprehensive victory for Knightswood, certainly. Again, I watched Sean Kenny, the Ardeer manager's interview after the game, and a bit like Michael Oliver at Darvel, he looked pretty shell-shocked. He looked absolutely... I don't know, it was a cross between gutted and raging, probably. And embarrassed, I would say, probably, as well. And I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but I know as a coach and a manager, that's always how you feel. See, when you... I mean, I certainly felt it last night when we get turned over 4-0 from Bonnet, and I got that impression from Sean that you do feel embarrassed because you feel responsible for it, and you feel embarrassed that that's happened, and people have come to watch, and people have maybe travelled from Stevenson through to Kirkintilloch to watch the game, etc., etc. So, and I know Sean values that kind of thing really highly, so he would have been absolutely gutted to see that, and he said that they just weren't good enough at all, and Knightswood fully deserved a victory. And he's, again, it's one of those ones where these midweek games, these things can happen. Mad stuff happens midweek games. I'm sure anybody that's watching, that's been around this level of football for many years, knows that these things can happen midweek games, and they'll just be looking to bounce back. It'll just be a case of try to scrub it from your memory as quickly as you possibly can, and then look into Saturday, because Ardeer have got a big game on Saturday against Craigmark, who I think are going to be up the top end of the table challenging. And again, as I keep a broken record, apologies, but Craigmark have had no midweek game, so they've had the opportunity to rest and recover and train, whereas Ardeer have had to go to Kirkintilloch. They've taken a sore one, so how's the mood in the camp? You're probably not going to get them in training unless he gets them in tonight for a chat and a cool down or whatever. But yeah, he'll be thinking about it constantly from now until Saturday about how he addresses what happened on Saturday, because by all accounts they were good last Saturday there and they were poor last night. So interesting to see how they bounce back against Craigmark. And Knightswood, great result for them. I think everybody's kind of said that they'll be at the top end, challenging for the league title probably, and it's a real early marker to turn over Ardeer, who I think will be one of the stronger teams in the division. To turn them over 5-1 at home is a really strong result. So congratulations to Michael Pender and the guys. And just a wee update that Michael's actually going to be joining me on the show on Sunday. So if you want to hear a bit more about Knightswood, please make sure you tune in to WOSFL Weekly on Sunday. They actually play Girvan on Saturday, so they've got to go down there. So guys will be looking to continue to bounce off the back of a really good result last night, going down to Dean Keenan's Girvan on Saturday. A really interesting result, I thought, was Yoker. Started the season great. Really good result. I'm sure, again, I don't know much about Yoker, but I know that the manager was connected under 20s and he was bringing in a lot of young players, But what a great start to the season, 2 wins on the bounce. I don't know if many people were expecting them to start the season as well as they have, so congratulations to them. It's a really good result because I fancied Dalry to be top end of the table as well, certainly challenging for that top 8 spot. So that's a really strong result, beating Dalry 3-0 at home. So well done to the guys up at Yoker. Glasgow Uni beating Glasgow Pershore 6-0. Again, really strong result for Glasgow Uni. That puts them top of the table on goal difference. Pershore, I'm not sure, they had a really poor end to the season last season, and they've scored 1, conceded 11 in the first 2 games. It's a bit ominous looking in that respect, but we're early days. Everybody can still get things sorted out, and we'll see how they bounce back when they host Kello on Saturday, who took care of Luga 3-1. I think the game was played at Glenafton's ground because there's work getting done to the dressing rooms at Kello, so unfamiliar surroundings for both sides, but a really solid win for Kello, taking care of Luga 3-1. Fanart bounced back after a really disappointing result at the weekend to beat Glenvale 4-2. After speaking to a couple of people connected with Fanart, I was really surprised to see that result, to be honest. I didn't expect Fanart to win that game so comprehensively, so congratulations to them. That's a really good result and a really good response to a disappointing result on Saturday, and that's really what you're looking for your team, is just how we're going to bounce back. Do we have a bit of character? Do we have a bit of resilience within the squad? So to suffer that on Saturday and bounce back on Wednesday is massive for them. And again, they host Glasgow Uni on Saturday. We know Glasgow Uni are flying, so again, I'll be keen to see how that one pans out. And then finally, Port Glasgow beating Easterhouse 4-1. I was a bit surprised at Port Glasgow not picking up the victory on Saturday at Dalry, but they're up and running, off the mark. Solid win against again a team that they knew well in Easterhouse. So I'm sure they would have just been looking to get those first points on the board and then move on into Saturday, where they go to Martin Montgomery St Anthony's side, but a really good result. And Easterhouse play host to Yoker, so again a really interesting one to see how that game turns out. Only a few games in the 4th division. BSC 4 points from 6. Fantastic. Really good result. Really pleased for the guys at BSC. The manager has been in touch with me and he's going to come on the show. So it's great to see that team from where they were last year now being competitive in the league, which is fantastic. It's great. As Dean and I said on Sunday, that's what we want. We want the leagues to be as competitive as we possibly can. And that's a really good victory, winning 3-1 at Campbelltown. Now, I'm not downplaying that, is because getting from Campbelltown to Glasgow on a Wednesday night is atrocious, to be honest. I don't know what time the boys for Campbelltown would have got home, but fair play to them making the journey, and we appreciate them being part of this level, and they bring a lot to the level of football. So, but a really good result for BSC. Well done to the boys there. Really, really pleased for them. A really interesting result was Carluke beating EKYM 4-1. I said on the preview show that I fancied Carluke to have a good season. I think they finished last season really well, and they've carried that on into this season. Again, looking at East Kilbride, YM, I think a lot of people were fancying it would be up the top end of the table, but maybe it's just going to take them a bit longer to adjust to the level than maybe some people thought. It's just an adjustment period, I'm sure. With the quality that they've got in the squad, they'll be fine. They'll be there or thereabouts, but it's maybe just going to take a wee bit longer for them to adjust. But I think Carluke will be up there towards the end of the season. They've started the season really well. I'm really impressed with what they've done up there. Big East Kilbride derby on Saturday. If you're in the East Kilbride area, get along to see that. I'm sure that'll be tasty. YMV at East Kilbride Thistle. So if you're in the area, get yourself along to the East Kilbride derby, because that'll be class. Only 2 results to go. Irvine Vicks beat Giffnock 6-3. Again, I've said that I think Irvine Vicks will be strong this year. That's a good result against Giffnock. I think Ben Carson has built a team there that'll be strong and is obviously able to score goals. Probably not too happy with the 3 given away at the back, but scoring 6 at home on a Wednesday night, you can't really ask for much more. So congratulations to Ben and the boys. That's a really strong result, and again goes two from 2, and they go to New Mains on Saturday, which will be a tricky tie, but they're looking to go 3 from 3. And then finally, Stevie Wilson, Saltcoats, sitting top of the table. Congratulations to Saltcoats sitting top of the table after 2 games. I don't know when the last time Saltcoats would have been top of any table, to be honest. So it's a great turnaround for Stevie and the guys there. They had a really good win, 5-1 against Wishaw. Who I think, did somebody in the preview show say that Wishaw were going to win the league? I don't know how that's looking just now, but a really good result for Saltcoats. So congratulations to Stevie Wilson and the boys there. And they play Vale of Leven on Saturday, so a trip up to Vale of Leven, and Wishaw play BSC. So another chance for the boys at BSC to get another victory, I would feel. Looking at the way Wishaw have started the season, so good luck to them, and good luck to everybody playing on Saturday. I hope you get the opportunity to go and watch a game if you can. Dig out a tenner, go and watch your local West of Scotland Football League team, because they'll appreciate it. They'll appreciate your support and your money in the pot as well, because it means a lot to especially these smaller clubs. I hope you've enjoyed this quick rundown of the midweek games, WOSFL Midweekly. If you've got any comments, suggestions, it's interesting. I met a subscriber at the Maybole Bonneton game last night, and he was saying, I've got a few ideas for the show. We're always open to suggestions. We'd love to grow the channel as much as we possibly can, and we can't do that without your support. So thanks very much to everybody for watching or listening, whoever you're interacting with us. As I said, I've got Michael Pender, the Knightswood manager, on Sunday, and I hope you manage to get out and watch a game on Saturday, and you can join me at 7 p.m. on Sunday to recap it all with Knightswood manager Michael Pender. Until then, Sunday, 7 p.m, take care of yourself and each other. All the best. Cheers.